Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before the meeting even starts, I'll make Councillor Pat Fuel to make an unofficial announcement, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just got word, we got word at Wheatland Housing last week that we have a letter from J.G. Ramatar, who is the Deputy Minister of Health and Wellness. And I'd like to just read a part of it. Beginning in early 2011, the Strathmore Continuing Care Project will be developed in partnership with a not-for-profit organization or a private sector corporation. It will consist of 30 long-term care beds and 70 supportive living beds. The first step will be to issue a request for proposal to select a third party to develop and operate the facility. A start date for construction has not yet been established, but it is anticipated to begin in 2012, and the facility should be open in 2014. Ministers Wadesky and Honorable Ray Danilek, Minister of Infrastructure, confirmed this project in their July 21st, 2010 announcement of Phase 1 of the 2010 to 2013 Health Capital Plan. The government will be providing up to $17.5 million for this project. Should the capital contribution required be less than this amount, and it was on to say any capital project savings will return to the government for prioritization and allocation. So some excellent news for the people of Strathmore, and we hope that everything goes to fruition soon.
Thank you, Councillor Fuel. The reason I made it this way is that this letter wasn't directed to the town of Strathmore or any part of the mayor or council, so it is very unofficial, and we would like to keep it that way at this point. MLA Councillor, or Mr. Dirksen has announced that he would like a meeting that is going to come sometime in February, so he doesn't know when it is, but he will make the announcement, and it's going to be somewhat official then, he hopes. But it looks good, and we thank him for all the work that they've done, and everybody else as well. At this time, I'd like to call council meeting number 11C02, Town Hall Council Chambers, 7:30. The public hearing will be started right away, and our council notes it's on a special agenda. And I'm calling to order this public hearing. The purpose of this bylaw, number 10-28, is to amend the land use bylaw by redesignating lands from AG Agriculture General to M1 Restricted Land Industrial District for Plan 9812606 Block 3. Ask the government for confirmation of notices.
Your Worship, Councillors, confirmation of notices. Bylaw 1028 was advertised in the Strathmore Standard on January 5th and January 12th, 2011, and adjacent landowners were notified by mail.
Thank you. Now, Tammy, are you reporting on the plan?
Correct. My apologies, I did not have a chance to bring up the documentation quite yet. The applicants require land use redesignation in order to subdivide this parcel. The current use is M1, or Restricted Light Industrial District uses, and thus the request complies with current land use bylaw. Currently, the use is non-conforming, or in other words, grandfathered, but any further development, including subdivision, requires it to comply with our statutory plans and land use bylaw. This is an extension of the industrial lots to the north. Comments from the agencies, such as ACO and Shaw Communications, had no issues with the application, and items raised by Alberta Health and EPCOR will be dealt with at the subdivision stage if this bylaw is approved.
Thank you. Any written submissions?
Not from adjacent landowners, no, just from the agency.
Is there anyone in the crowd wishing to be heard? Not? We can go through with all the public hearings, or do you want to close each one? Close each one. Thank you. It's motion for, no questions, motion for Close this public hearing.
I'll move it.
Councilor Pugh, all in favor? Carried. Public hearing bylaw number -1029. The purpose of bylaw -29 is to amend the land use bylaw by redesignating lands currently in phase 1 of West Creek from R1 single family district, R2 mixed housing district, UR urban reserve district to RN1 residential narrow single family district, R2 mixed housing district, and UR urban reserve district for a portion of the northeast quarter 15, 24, 25 west of the forest. Confirmation of notices.
Bylaw number 1029 was advertised in the Strathmore Standard on January 5th and January 12th, 2011, and adjacent landowners were notified by May.
Report from Development Officer, Tammy.
This application is to redesignate Phase 1 of the West Creek Area Structure Plan, or ASP. The ASP approval was by bylaw 08-22 and allowed a density of 6.5 units per acre, and this request is at 5.8 units per acre. Administration is bound by this plan, and the request is in keeping with the density. The reason it appears that the density is higher is that the original land use designation, which was approved by bylaw 08-23, actually preceded the approved area structure plan. Typically, the process is that the area structure plan is approved prior to a land use redesignation. All agency comments are dealt with at the subdivision stage and will be addressed at that time if this application is approved.
Thank you. Any written submissions?
There were 2 adjacent landowners who submitted concerns, and basically the general topic items were high densities, the issue of started homes rather than large lot homes, traffic and probably the requirement of requiring more traffic lights, road maintenance, developer fronting construction costs, parking, higher population in the area, and potential burden on existing taxpayers.
Thank you. Did you get any requests for anyone wishing to speak?
It is the applicant that would like to be heard, and they will do a presentation.
Thank you.
Your Worship, though, I wonder, is there a reason why we didn't get copies of those letters of plan?
I think they are probably not on the agenda, are they not? In the main part of the agenda, are they not? I didn't call them.
I'm looking at a public hearing.
No? I guess we didn't get them.
In the future, if you would like them, Your Worship and councillors, we will submit them. However, at this point in time, we would just provide you summaries.
Thank you. And okay, who's going to speak on their behalf?
Brown and Associates, Greg Brown, and Dave Poppett for the development.
Thank you. Come forward.
Sorry.
We only have 2 exhibits, but might as well get it. Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. My name is Greg Brown, Brown and Associates Planning Group. With me tonight is Dave Poppett of West Strathmore Developments Limited, the owners of the lands. I'll just make a brief presentation, and then Dave and I will answer any questions council may have. In the staff report for this land use redesignation in Tammy's presentation, she's provided the background to this application. The purpose of the redesignation is to initiate development of the West Creek community through the Phase 1 land use approval, which will accommodate a variety of residential and open space uses as shown on our Phase 1 development concept and described in the staff report. It's not to be a movie. Okay, Maybe we'll get this under
Is this
control.
hypnosis or what?
It's very subliminal message here, and I'm not sure what it is myself.
Where's our tech?
Power off.
Anyways, I will continue.
Pull the plug.
Sure.
Within this area, there are 3 land uses. R1, which is in the southern portion to the north of the existing residential. In the center, the R1N, the new narrower lot, single detached district. And in the northern portion, the R2 or mixed use zoning. The redesignation for Phase 1 revises the earlier redesignation of R1 and R2 to include the R1N residential district, which was adopted by Strathmore Council back in April of 2010 after considerable thought by Council about the idea of moving to a slightly narrower district than the 50 feet. The smallest district within the R1N is 40 feet for single-family housing. As Ms. Henry indicated, the Phase 1 land use redesignation proposal conforms to the policies of the approved West Creek Area Structure Plan, which was approved by Council in August of 2010 through the provision of single-family detached and semi-detached housing. In keeping with the provision of single-family housing and based on Council's approval of the R1N district, West Strathmore Developments is incorporating this district into the Phase 1 development area. Open space is also provided in accordance with the area structure plan through the location of urban reserve lands, interfacing with the Westmount community to the south, and through the location of a neighborhood park top lot within the Phase 1 area. I'll just continue. You'll have to imagine what the plan looks like. Since early 2009, West Strathmore Developments has worked diligently with the town of Strathmore and Alberta Environment to mitigate the effect of development on wetlands within the West Creek community. Wetlands on the west side of Wheatland Trail were transferred to the existing wetland area on the east side of Wheatland Trail. These wetland areas have been incorporated with the town-owned lands and dedicated to the town. This optimal resolution of the treatment of the wetlands enabled Strathmore Council to approve the West Creek ASP on August 18, 2010, and to forward a letter to the Minister of Environment, which informs the Minister of the town's adoption of the ASP and support for proceeding with the wetland mitigation that was tied into that entire concept. We do have a figure, and I do have paper, but unfortunately you can't see it, which illustrates the lot type and lot width for Phase 1. It shows a variety of R2, R1N, and R1 lots, in keeping with Council's desire to provide not only a variety of lot types, but also a range of lot widths in the R1N district. Within this plan area, within these 3 districts, the minimum lot size is 25 feet. The largest lot size will be 58 feet for the single family, and really from the sort of lot widths of about 38 feet all the way through to 54 feet, there are lot sizes within that entire range for the single family housing that will be within this R1N as well as the R1 district.
You want to take a moment to try and fix the
Yes,
first?
that would be,
Yeah.
that would be great. And you can take advantage of the illustration.
Your Worship, not to interject here, but I foresee an issue with closing this public hearing if I haven't seen those letters from the adjacent landowners, and I'm wondering if...
Can we just get copies of those letters?
Someone to get copies for us.
Right, immediately, Your Worship?
Yeah, please.
Certainly.
take a 5-minute recess so that.
That's
That's okay, yeah. We'll move from 1 to 5 minute recess.
Motion's to recess, so it's 5 minutes.
All in favor? Carried. Councilor Coble, all in favor? You continue.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We do have the pictures. There's only 2 that I'm showing formally. But this was the first one that I wanted to show. It showed the area of R1 in the south, the new district R1N in the central portion, and to the north, west, the R2 district. And as I was just saying, we'll go to the next one. Within this area is this large range of different lot sizes. I mentioned the 25-foot. That is just within the R2 area. We have lot widths as narrow as 25. There's 25 up to the 30 feet, about 31% in this plan. 30 to 39 feet is also within the R2, 43 lots. And then the R1N is the 40 to 49, and the R1 is 50 foot plus. And within this whole area, you see the different colors. There is a variety of these different lot sizes. And within that, when we average out for our overall density, we are achieving the number as indicated by the planner at 5.8. So there were 2 comments by members.
Excuse me, just, sorry to interrupt. The 25 foot, are you talking about, is that in your cul-de-sacs?
This is within the R2 district, the narrower lot, that's for the semi-detached.
Okay.
They are not for the single family. The single family are the 40 feet and above.
Okay, thank you.
And can I just say, what percentage of the lots are under 50 foot?
Within this plan, there are only 7% of the lots that are above the 50 feet.
No, I'm talking about less than 50 feet.
Less than 50 feet, 93% of the lots. That's for the semi-detached lots. I'm counting those as lots with the single family. So most of the single family are in this 40 to 49 foot range within this R1N district. So two responses were received from the town, by members of the public. We looked at those comments, and there is, they voiced an initial concern, I think we both, about the increase in density for this phase 1 area. And I think this is not, the density that we're dealing with within this plan and within the overall next 2 phases as well as this, is within the range of the area structure plan. Yes, we are changing the portion here from R1, which would regulate the size of the single family, but we are increasing the total area of single family with the R1 and the R1N. And in fact, with this density that is created from these dwellings, we have a density of 5.8 units per acre, which is 11% lower than the approved density for the overall area structure plan of 6.5 units per acre. And we will be, through the remainder of the plan, the subsequent phases, be trying to deal with this density, which is to get us up to the 6.5. So in this first phase, the density we have is lower than what is in the area structure plan. We do appreciate the concerns of these 2 citizens about density. However, West Creek does propose architectural controls to create a very attractive community. This is their first phase within this whole area. They'll be going to considerable length to provide attractive streetscapes, attractive facades on the buildings, and attractive landscaping within the plan. Our plan does provide single-family homes on narrower lots, but the quality of these homes will be consistent with what is in the overall community in Strathmore, and certainly the density is within that of the area structure plan, somewhat lower than what is in the Calgary Metropolitan Plan, but the density that we're targeting is what has been approved in the area structure plan. So in summary, this phase 1 land use redesignation conforms to the approved area structure plan and conforms to the districts within the land use bylaw. And we request council's approval for this phase 1 redesignation.
Thank you. Tammy, there's no one else that requested to speak?
There was no additional requests prior to. However, I'm not sure if there's anybody here present that would like to speak towards this bylaw.
Is anybody present? You got 2 minutes.
I don't need that long. I just would like to know where the parks are in relation to all these dense housing. Sure, I think everybody would be interested to see where the parks are and the size of them.
The parks within this plan, there is open space adjacent to the drive here, along the southern portion of the plan in through here, and there is a park up in here. There will be park space also through other portions to the west. But the park land is indicated along this portion and in this central area.
Thank you.
What is the acreage? Do you know the area of the park?
I would just have to check that.
Your Worship, may I just make a comment about the parks just while we're
Yes.
looking up the number? I'm David Poppett. I'm the planning director for West Creek. The parks that we show in our phase 1 are in compliance with the parks as outlined in the area structure plan. You have to look at the whole plan, including the central area for the very large wetland complex, to see that we are well over our 10% reserve requirements. But you can't just look at just one section of the plan alone. The area structure plan is very precise about where they are and what they're supposed to be, and we are in compliance with that.
The area is about 2.3 acres of park and open space within this first phase of the plan.
Thank you.
And there is significant more in the other phases.
Thank you. Gentleman in the back, your name?
I'll try and be quick here.
Your name, please?
Oh, sorry, my name is Dan. Dan Skellin. When I'm looking at the...
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last name.
Skellin. S-K-E-L-L-I-N-G. In the package we received, the area just to the south of the R1N proposed change, the green space there does appear to be significantly larger than what I'm seeing on the screen here. So I just had a question whether that was intentional or...
Could you answer that?
I can't really answer that.
Yeah, I think just the space here doesn't appear to be very different from that. So I'm just not sure if this is the accurate one.
I see it is on one of the figures from the town. I mean, this is our subdivision layout, so I think that it does appear to be a little wider in the drawing, which you have here, than what is on our plan.
Thank you. Tammy?
Your Worship, I could probably clarify it a little bit more. What is depicted in the maps is what is being redesignated. So therefore, this R1 portion is already existing, so that's why it is excluded. So as a result of that, that's why that portion is excluded. We only have to depict the areas that are being redesignated.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There's no any further questions of council?
I have a question. I'm a new councillor, so some of this is for my information too. The designation R1N, that was accepted or that was agreed upon by the council in the spring of 2010. Is that correct? Before that, we didn't have R1N housing.
That's correct.
My questions are why are we now having this redesignation come forward? What is the reason or rationale to go from R1 to R1N there? Because it seems like a major change considering these two letters that I've just read.
Well, I'll have Mr. Poppet answer that. You see, West Creek did make a presentation to council earlier about this, and there was quite a discussion about those lot sizes. David?
Well, Your Worship, members of council, for us to achieve a 6.5 unit density in any suburban development today is impossible to do without having a form of housing that is single-family detached, but somewhere in the 40 to 50 foot range. We prepared a presentation to council, which we did last year prior to you being here, where we showed all of the elements for lot sizes, housing types, housing architectural styles, and the economics that go with the size of lots to determine the price of housing. As each and every front foot of a lot is either increased or decreased, the price of that lot goes down or up relatively. And it takes house pricing in Strathmore, if they were all 50 feet, it takes it to price points that are well beyond the competitive marketplace that exists in this whole region today. 40-foot lot in the normal suburban development today, and everything is normal or abnormal, is actually quite a large lot in today's suburban world. But a 6.5 unit density that we are required to get, it was your requirements from the get-go 4 years ago when we started this, is impossible to do unless we have slightly smaller single-family lots. We just barely get to 5.8 units at this point in time. The overall regional plan for the entire regional area that you're part of, their minimum density now that you've agreed to as well is 8 units to the acre. So for us, it's not possible unless we make everything R2.
Thank you very much. The point remains is that the densities have been in place already. This isn't the issue of this public hearing, whether or not that we can do it, as long as it meets the criteria. And I just want to inform council that it does meet the criteria. So it's not the issue whether or not we can use that sort of zoning or not. The issue, it's already in place, so that's not the issue of this public hearing. Thank you very much. Councillor Best?
No, I'll wait.
Any other?
Just one question. There are some I think some legitimate concerns regarding traffic, increase in traffic, and I'm just wondering what proposals might be in place in regards to dealing with that.
Worship Councillors,
Yes.
A traffic impact assessment was done at the area structure plan stage, and it was based on the 6.5 units per acre. So as a result of that, if they do build the entire area up to 6.5, Alberta Transportation has already approved it.
And just to clarify, the study was done for the whole subdivision.
That's correct.
All phases put together.
That's correct.
And we're good to 6.5.
That's correct.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton?
No, I'm just looking at the R2 there on the north there, maybe Mr. Pop will get down to this. It seems kind of crammed. This isn't the issue at the time, is it, as far as the lot sizes are concerned? Like somebody was mentioning the 25-foot lot. Is this, like I'm a new councillor too, like Councillor Fuel, so I'm just trying to learn as much as I can.
Yes.
I'm concerned with the size of lots on the very north in the R2 area.
May I just point?
Yeah, right there.
You mean here?
No, just right
Just
on
there?
Right on the very top there, that road. Those look like they're very small lots.
Actually, they're slightly larger. They're all in the order of 30 feet along here,
Okay.
as opposed to 25. So the total is 60 as opposed to 50. They're semi-detached homes.
Okay.
So they are a little larger here. These drawings may be askew for you, but we've gone through all the calculations pretty carefully. The R2, just from an urban development standpoint, the R2 are together in a cell, a neighborhood cell. And that's the way that everybody develops them these days, all over North America. You put them in cells with entrances in and out, and a park that services the cell.
Like I said, I'm on the learning curve.
Thank you.
I'm on the learning curve.
Councillor Best?
I appreciate the statements of Mr. Poppet earlier on why they need smaller lot sizes. However, when we're told that 95% of those lots are going to be smaller size, I must question what the validity of the statement is because if we're going to 95% of the lots being smaller sized, certainly we're going to be well within being able to meet the requirements of the province I just 95% of these lots being undersized is beyond me.
I guess as a comment, we've done considerable work as planners on the issue of density. If you were to have an area, an entire community with lot sizes of 50 feet and above, your densities are likely to be in around 4 units per acre. It turns out to become a very low density. Here in the R1N, we're looking at a range of between 40 and 50 feet, 40, 42s, 44, 6, 48s, and within the R1N is that range of density. And through the plan, not just with the R1 and the R1N, the density there would be considerably lower than the 5.8, because in fact a large portion are the semi-detached lots. Many 30-footers are in there. Very narrow is just 25, but the majority are 30. When we average all those out across this area, our density is only 5.8 units per acre. So, I think that was the reason for the council deciding in the R1N to accept it, is you're going, yes, 20% less, but the quality of homes are virtually the same in terms of their finishes, the street appearance, a little bit narrower, which is what people are asking for, without compromise on quality. And if people are then able to get a wider range of single-family homes, they're not having to default back into an R2 district, which gets them into a semi-detached home or a much narrower product. So it's that increased range of single-family lot width that people are able to acquire.
And again, I reiterate, it meets the density requirements, so, and that bylaw is already in place. As simple as that.
I think that through the area structure plan, the issue of density was considered, and then through that R1N decision of council, that also was quite a large discussion.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not,
I move that the public hearing be closed.
thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Bylaw number 10-34, the purpose of bylaw number 10-34 is to amend the land use bylaw by redesignated lands located in the RY11 within the southwest 16, 24, 25 west of the 4th meridian. The proposed amendment would redesignate the lands in question from DC3 County Direct Control to CHWY Highway Commercial District, with a site-specific exception to allow for contract services general as permitted use. And confirmation notice from the development officer.
Bylaw 1034 was advertised in the Strathmore Standard on January 5th and January 12th of 2011, and adjacent landowners were notified by mail.
Anything from the development officer? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. The subject land is in a portion of the newly annexed lands to the west. The redesignation will bring the land into conformance with the town of Strathmore land use bylaw. The applicant has supplied the town with a chronology of development activities that occurred while this land was under the jurisdiction of Wheatland County. In summary, the applicant was issued a home occupation permit to operate a drilling company in 2000 with an expiry date in 2003. In 2003, a development permit for the construction of a new shop was approved and the home occupation permit was renewed for an additional 3 years. An application to redesignate the land was tabled pending discussions with the town of Strathmore. In 2006, an application to redesignate the lands to rural local commercial was defeated. In 2008, a permit to operate an oil field storage operations business was approved, expiring in 2011. At this time, stormwater management studies and environmental review and cleanups were conducted, and a developer's agreement between Wheatland County and the property owner was endorsed. In addition, the stormwater management plan has been completed and conformed with, and an environmental cleanup on the site has been completed and accepted. In May of 2009, Big Country Drilling took over the operation, same landowner. In reviewing this application, the following items were considered. Adjacent uses. The lands to the north, east, west, and south are newly annexed lands with a general agricultural use. Portions of the land to the immediate southwest are within the boundaries of Wheatland County. Past uses. According to the earliest aerial photo, taken in 1950, this site has historically been used as a railroad bed and transportation line. In 1995, the railroad decommissioned the site. Since 1999, the land has been used as an oil field storage operation. Conformity with the municipal development plan. The annexation application proposed the majority of this land for highway commercial district. This is the growth area, growth corridors that were used in the annexation application, and you can see that that portion of land was proposed to be designated as highway commercial. And as is typical, buffering and transitional land use would be required for any future development. In addition, any future development on this site, including any intensification of the existing use, would require a development permit with appropriate conditions attached. Utilities. These lands are not seen as developing for 20 plus years. There are currently no municipal services available to the area. Under the circumstances, and since this use is currently in operation, the costs of infrastructure are too prohibitive for this application. Should additional development occur on this site, services would be addressed at the subdivision or development permit stage. All agency comments received to date did not have any concerns with the proposed redesignation. Alberta Transportation recognizes that the proposal will not have a significant impact on the highway, therefore have no objections to the redesignation. They also stated that subsequent development would require a roadside development permit. Wheatland County had no objections to the bylaw. EPCOR responded with a standard response letter regarding servicing requirements at building permit stage. Shaw Cable had no objections. APCO Gas had no objections. We have received comments from one adjacent landowner who is opposed to this application. We have also received a letter of concern from one citizen, Mr. Chris Scooter. Mr. Scooter's brother, Clarence Scooter, will be speaking on his behalf tonight. And the applicant has provided the town with copies of a total of 73 letters of support from the original application to redesignate the lands in 2008. The land was under the jurisdiction of Wheatland County at that time. 9 of the letters were from neighboring properties, with the remaining 64 from Wheatland County residents and businesses within Strathmore and the surrounding area. In conclusion, the use is already in existence and has been for some time. This application will simply bring the use into conformance with the town's land use bylaw. No further development is being contemplated with this redesignation. Administration is recommending that if Council has all of the information required to make a decision on bylaw 1034, and after hearing the comments from the adjacent landowner, that the public hearing be closed.
Thank you. But first we'll hear from Mr. Scooter.
And I'd just like to mention as well that John Scooter is available for questions, and the applicant, Don Murray, is also available for questions if required.
Thank you. Larry?
Should I sit there?
Sure.
First question, was there, do you have on record a submission from Chris Scooter and Clarence Scooter? There should be two letters on file. One is from Chris Scooter.
Okay.
And one is from myself. So there should be two letters of opposition.
Okay, my apologies.
Okay, the reason I bring it up is my understanding is that you need that information to be submitted now prior to closing the public hearing, correct?
Are they available, Linda?
Because otherwise you can't look at it after, right?
Do you have a copy of one, Frank?
No, unfortunately, I left my copy at home. Hopefully John has his copy.
Maybe while they're looking, could you proceed with your...
Yes, I certainly can. Okay, for starters, I have 10 copies here. I submitted a synopsis, and I didn't get a chance to, can I distribute this?
Yeah.
These are, this is what I'm presenting right now. So,
Is that the same letter we got?
no, the one you have is a synopsis of what this is. I didn't get a chance to put complete verbiage into the one that I really put today. It's much the same. Let me just changes. And does anybody else?
Administration.
Okay,
That's good.
I'm going to keep one to present one. And these photos, I just have one copy. You can just, if you wanted to just make reference to them. So we have a copy of your letter? Okay, so we've received that. I'll be referring a little bit to that letter. But for starters, I want to say that what I want to speak in opposition to is to the exemption that's being considered that would be available if the area was rezoned to highway commercial. Now, I think my understanding is correct in saying that if in fact that exemption it was rezoned to highway commercial, the exemption referred to as contract services general could grant the permanent right to have industrial operations on the property. And that concerns us because in that definition, there seems to be a fairly broad definition of what that area can be used for and somewhat discretionary. Now, we believe that the property should remain zoned direct control 3 to ensure that the approved land use guidelines remain in place to limit the extent and the nature of the industrial activities that can occur on that parcel of land. Now, that other letter that my brother wrote up that you will get a chance to reference outlines a lot of our concerns as well. Now, the reason being is that this land was not originally developed to support this kind of activity. Direct control is the only means that the town has to ensure that environmental assessments are conducted and that all the subsequent concerns are addressed. If you give that up, we end up with two conflicting land uses that could potentially be side by side. And I say this in reference to the controls being more critical when you consider that the future development on the adjacent lands will most likely be residential. Now, this became pretty evident during the recent annexation hearings. They were fairly intense, and at no point was the annexation lands being considered to be used for industrial purposes. As a matter of fact, on arguments to support annexation, population densities were continually thrown up. So that leads us to believe that our land is destined for residential. Now, I know in the report they say that we might not see it for 20 years, but I don't think that makes a difference. Today there's two voices saying that we have some real problems with conflicting land uses. If it takes 20 years or 10 years, there's going to be thousands of voices that are going to be saying that. And so I think what we're doing is highlighting an issue that we could preempt. Now, in the past, prior to the county putting this land under direct control, there were really no boundaries as to the type of industrial activity that could occur for the hours of operation that it could operate. Now, maintenance activities occurred all hours of the day and night. Now, heavy equipment moved in and out of that site constantly. And my concern is that without direct controls, this type of activity is going to resume, and the town will lose control as to what can go there. Now, as everybody knows, and what's been talked about over and over again, this land was originally developed as a rail transportation corridor only. Now, although this parcel is 14 acres large, it's only 230 feet wide. Now, the setbacks, drainage, and grades were designed to contain and buffer the adjacent land areas. Many hazards that could arise from running loaded rail cars through there. Whether there was derailments or toxic chemical containment buffer zones, that was it. Now, what we're doing is we're taking that 230 feet and saying that, yes, we can at some point in time set up appropriate buffers between residential and industrial. There isn't enough room, and there never will be. For a for transportation corridor, this is an ideal width. But for an industrial area, it is far from ideal. Now, I have some old information that I dug up, and with regards to setbacks, you'll see it in the pictures. It's so difficult to accomplish building setbacks when you've got 230 feet to work with. Berming is a real problem. Now, on the first diagram there, there's kind of a general, it's considered basically an industrial standard in an industrial, to separate an industrial site from residential. They have about a 16-meter berm. Now, that's about 52 feet. Now, that berm would basically be something like you would see in Titan drilling along the highway. That's meant to buffer noise, it's meant to be a fire guard barrier. There's no room on this property to ever do that. Now, drainage is a problem. Now, I did note that the County of Wheatland said that there was an appropriate storm drainage study and spill containment was covered off. Visually, I don't see it, and I'm next to it. The elevations have been partially addressed, but there's no way that you can stop any drainage from this industrial area from coming into agricultural land or spilling into a pond that our livestock is watering from. There's some photos of a fire that did start from a previous welding repair quite a number of years ago, and that fire was stopped by the rural fire people 300 meters from the house. We've all seen cars land. We know what the wind can do for a fire that's going across dry agricultural land. So berms are critical. If you don't have room for a berm today, you're not going to have room for a berm 20 years from now. And shoring is a bit of an issue. We have banks that have been cut in 6 feet with no shoring to hold it up. And again, I don't think we're trying to highlight examples of a bad neighbor or anything other than land use. And it's difficult to imagine across the road an area that is totally adhering to every regulation, environmental and otherwise, to accommodate industrial, and then on this side to have a very conflicting land use strategy that just seems to be 180 degrees out of sync. So in summary, again, I guess we're asking council vote against approving the rezoning application and leave the property zone direct control. It provides the town council with the control that you're going to need in that area. And it also provides you the opportunity to gauge the level of activity that is there. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Any questions? Anyone else wishing to be spoken? Mr. Murray?
Sure. Well, I just wanted to just write down what you said there. We did all the services in excess of $70,000 was spent on drainage for that. It met all the standards, better than any other place. All the water runs to the pond, just like you're supposed to. I don't know anything about that. As far as the berm, no, that wasn't in there when we did it, and it still isn't. Mr. Shooter Hopper, we did blast the fence, so it's blind. Setbacks, they're illegal when we did it with the county. And there's one pump house building that wasn't, and we got an exception for that through the county at the time. Yeah, it's maintenance. Yeah, sometimes we do move in and out. Right now, there's like 3 people there, 4 people and 3 girls, I guess. We make our money in tar sands, and it employs. When I had it, it was about 500 people. Right now, it's about 230. I paid people. These people can bring money from out of the country into our community and spend it here, 80% of it. That's worth something, I think. And it's high pay, and they buy everything from groceries to send their kids to school to you name it. We just want to do our thing. We did all that. So there shouldn't be any spill issues. Fire, no, anybody can have fire. And we did have one fire, and that's what the fire department's for. That's what we pay for. What else can I tell you about it? That's about it, I guess. We've been there 11 years. That was done, the environmental work that was done, when was that, Steve? 4 years ago? Yeah. About 4 years ago. And that was all done according to spec. Did the environmental cleanup according to spec besides that. And I set back the building so we got a good green frontage and a pond and everything else there to make it look nicer, so I think it's a good thing for the community. I think it's a great thing, and want to be there forever. The only reason it is, in a business like mine, it can be anywhere, because we work in the tar sands, right? So technically, I suppose it should be in Misty, but because I live here, and it's here, and it brings in, I think their receipts, like, it was quite a bit more doing it, but I think it's like, I think they're 16 to 20 million, brings into the community. That's what we do. And then there's fellows like Steve, who started his own, and he brings money because he lives here too, and I started him right off in high school. As well as lots of other kids here that through the years I've started off, and they've gone on to do quite well for themselves. And so we just want to work here when we left alone like we are. No plans to expand it. It's what it is, what it is. if housing moves in, I mean, 20 years where I'll be here or not, but I tell you, if housing did move in close by, hopefully they'd buy me out and put them all there. I'd be totally happy with that. So when and if that comes, I'm all for it like everybody else. So that's to say about that. So when that happens, and you want to buffer until that happens, I'm okay with it, right, the way it is, personally.
Thank you, Don. Councillor Best.
Yeah, I was just wondering, if the land's not going to be developed for 20 years, as you said, you know, you have no plan on doing that, why we're pushing forward with this now?
Pardon me?
Why we're pushing forward with this now?
Oh, just to get it done legally, just so it's done. We need it, because it wasn't under.
Bring it into conformance with the town's land use bylaw. The zoning that is there now is a county designation.
Thank you.
So.
Any further questions? If not, yes, Steve.
I just have a few comments. One, on these pictures, they are a little bit misleading, just so everybody's really clear, and if you folks didn't really get to see them. You know, I was with Corlin when we started that shop. To Don's credit, Titan Drilling, TD Drilling, Strathmore Energy Services, Big Country Drilling, he's why they're all here, and it brings millions into this community. This picture here was taken back, I'm guessing 2001, 2002. This is Corlin equipment. Since then, I paid for, when I was in there, I got it rezoned in 2008. We spent $70,000 grading that, laser leveled. It goes back into one of the cleanest stormwater ponds in any industrial area in this town. There's no way you're going to see this out there today. This is years and years ago. Next picture is still Corlin equipment, showing the grade. That grade has been changed. Just so you guys know what you were looking at. Again, these are Corlin rigs. Slopes all been changed. Stormwater ponds in there. It's even got the oil catch basin between the cleans and flocks of water. Same thing here. You know, pictures with the fire. I've had fires on my farm. I've seen fires in campgrounds. I've seen fires from cigarettes on the side of the road. Fires, they can happen. Wind happens. It's not because this was industrial. This could have been a farm and the fire could have spread. Just so everybody's really, I don't know. I just don't like it when guys mislead. Again, this is Akuna equipment showing the shoring. You know, since then, those things have been sloped, fenced off. You know, we've added fencing along this side of the highway side we couldn't put up the full berm, but we could put in so that it's obstructed from view. But yeah, the reason we need the permanence and the commercial is when you're operating a business and investing as much as Don has in the property, you know, and keeping it up, you need to know that you can be there for a while. This 3-year stuff is just really hard to operate a business on a 3-year term and then have to look at Okanagan and go spend $5 million and rebuild this place. It's not a reasonable time frame. You know, we operate a first-class operation as far as industrial areas go, and to take away from that, and it would take a lot away from the community if that doesn't go away. So it's a great thing for Strathmore to have Don and Big Country Drilling here, and we'd really like to see this go through for the work of the council. Great.
Thank you. Yes,
Well, I'll probably show my ignorance here, and I'm not a new councillor, and I should know this, but I'm not familiar with the term direct control. Is that a county term?
Yeah.
We have had direct control districts in the past, and it is like a site-specific section. You can attach different conditions to it. However, the one thing with a direct control district is it is a county decision or a council decision. Adjacent landowners lose all right to appeal. So if it was direct control and you attach conditions to it, and they did intensify the district, there would be no right of appeal from adjacent landowners. So they would have no say in what took place. So.
Okay, we're going to move on here. We got one minute.
If I would recommend, if council feels I have misled them, see as Steve is saying that I did, I would strongly suggest a third-party engineer from the town of Strathmore to look visit the site. I think it would be very worthwhile, and it would give you the type of information that would be a tremendous benefit to evaluate this site. This is an issue that has gone on for 15, 20 years. It genuinely warrants your consideration very strongly, and I would encourage council to consider that.
Further comments?
Your Worship.
Yes.
I just want to be very clear on this. I'm not sure that is the issue that's before us, and I'd like to be corrected by administration. Is this a matter of simply complying with the legalities of our bylaws?
Yes.
At this point in time,
Yeah.
that designation is illegal, is it not?
It is a county zoning.
Therefore,
And I mean, we could leave it as a county zoning, and it wouldn't change anything. They would still be allowed to continue there. However, they were wanting to come in and conform to the town's land use bylaw. So the application is not so that they can further develop. It's just to comply with a town designation.
and if this was redesignated industrial and they wish to expand, that would be something that would have to come before council? Or not?
No.
No.
But they would have to apply for a development permit, and that is the stage that we can attach conditions. You can attach conditions
Right.
to a redesignation.
Thank you. Is everybody clear enough as to what's going on? Thank you. And to make a motion
Your Worship, I would move that public hearing bylaw 1034 be closed.
Thank you. All in favor? For all those that are attending, we'll be making a decision probably, or maybe not later on in the evening. You can stay for the boring meeting if you so choose. Or would council like to take a 5-minute recess right now? We've been going on for a couple minutes. Would you like that? Thank you.
I so move.
Very. Yes. All in favor? Carried. Additions to the agenda.
Worship, other than questions to administration, I have nothing.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Your Worship, we have to add on United Way.
You can add that under,
8.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further? Scott? Motion to accept the agenda?
Move to accept.
I just have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't have an addition, but I do have a report to add to item 6D on the Eagle Head Auto bylaw.
Your Worship, I would move to accept the agenda as amended.
So it's 6 what? Okay. Sorry. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Previous minutes for a January 5th.
I move the January 5th, 2011 committee, the whole meeting 11-W01.
All in favor? Carried. 4B.
I would move the January 5th, 2011 regular council meeting 11-C01.
All in favor? Carried. January 12th, 4C.
I move the January 12th, 2011 administrative meeting number 11-01.
All in favor? Carried. For delegations, the bylaws for the public hearing, bylaw number, public hearing, number 25, page 25.
I move that council set a public hearing for February 16, 2011 at 7:30 p.m. with procedures in accordance with council procedure bylaw number 07-11 and amendments thereto.
All in favor? Carried. number 10-28. Page 26. Tammy.
Your worship, councillors, I seem to be lost in transition with the agenda, but that's not out of ordinary. However, the recommendation is if you have sufficient information and you believe all of the issues addressed at the public hearing, or the issues that were raised at the public hearing have been addressed, that council provide the second and third reading to bylaw 10-28.
Thank you. Council heard the recommendation. Do I get a motion?
I'd move that the council give second reading to bylaw number 10-28.
All heard the motion? All in favor?
No discussion.
Any discussion, brother? No discussion. All in favor?
And your worship, I would move the council give third and final reading to bylaw 10-28.
All in favor? Thank you. Bylaw number 10-29.
And your worship, it is the same recommendation. If council believes that all of the issues that have been raised at the public hearing, as well as any circulation comments have been addressed, that council provides the second and third reading to bylaw 10-29.
You all heard the recommendation?
So I recommend the council give second reading to bylaw number 10-29.
Any discussion? Not, all in favor?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Best.
Yeah. It concerns me, and I know this is just for rezoning purposes, and therefore it's going to go that way. I'm very concerned with the traffic flow and what's going to be the traffic flow in this area, and the number of small lots that are going in.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to a third reading.
I recommend the council give a third and final reading to bylaw number 10-29.
All heard the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaw number, no. 34? No. Yeah, right. Yes, 30. Bylaw number -10-31.
I move the council give first reading to bylaw number 10-31.
All heard the motion, all in favor?
And your worship, I would move the council refer bylaw 1031 to the public hearing set for February the 19th, 2011.
Heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 10-34.
Your worship, this is also the subject of the public hearing earlier this evening, and administration are recommending that the council have all of the information required to make a decision on bylaw 1034, that second and third reading be given.
Thank you. You heard the recommendation.
I would move that council give second reading to bylaw number 10-34.
You all heard the motion. Any discussion?
I just have one question, Your Worship, through the chair to Linda. If this gets approved and another owner comes in, do we have any say or any control over that area anymore? I know you said something about when it goes through the building permit stage, you can attach.
The same use could continue. Okay. If it was a different use, they would have to apply for a development permit. Okay, and at that point, we could attach conditions.
And this would afford the adjacent landowners input and comment?
Yes.
If it was
Yes, we have that opportunity.
designated as industrial?
Any further questions? Not? Looking for a third reading.
Recommend that council vote on.
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't we can vote on it? All in favor? Second reading? Apologize. Carried.
I move the council give third and final reading to bylaw number 10-34.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. There's no old business, new business, museum committee. Page 40.
Your Worship, this council has requested administration to create a museum committee, and attached are the terms of reference for the committee, and we are asking for council to.
I'm sorry, I can't hear what's going on with the noise.
Vivian, can you say Greg's reputation?
Speaker.
Because I can't hear with Mike, are you sleeping or are you making a noise?
Why don't each one of you try turning your mic off and see which mic it is?
Here he is.
Oh.
You could have done that better.
I've done that myself. Sorry.
No? That's why we pay him the big bucks.
Okay, that's better. Thank you. Continue, Linda.
Thank you. Council has requested administration to create a museum committee. Attached in your agenda packages are the terms of reference for the committee, and administration is asking council to approve the terms of reference for the museum committee so we can go forward and advertise for volunteers.
I'm looking forward to a motion on this recommendation.
I move that council approve the terms of reference for the museum committee.
Yep, I heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Do you have all the members or?
We have some members, Your Worship, but we don't have the full contingent based on this direction. Once we have this approved, that's part of my discussion question, is that the time that we can come ahead and look at funding and possible funds for that committee to work with?
We got no money.
Okay, thanks, Your Worship.
Your Worship, I just wonder if I may comment on this. There's a movement afoot by at least two groups in town, in the town right now to form an arts council, arts committee, and my sense is from listening to some of the things that are going on that this would be a perfect fit for something like a museum. And I've heard comments actually that in their discussions they want to incorporate the idea of the museum. So I have no problem with this going ahead, but I'm just wondering in the future there might be considered an amalgamation of both those groups, because I think they go hand in hand.
Is that something, Tammy, that you see us doing before, or sorry, Linda, is that something you see us doing before we approve this? Like, should it be something where we look at melding the two or keep them separate?
That's entirely council's decision. We could go either way.
Okay.
Are you chairing this, Councillor Field?
I guess I am chairing this museum.
We'll leave that to that.
Okay.
Yeah, any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. Eight B, Winter Games.
And similar, council have requested administration to create a 2014 Winter Games Committee, and we are asking council to approve the terms of reference for the committee. So we can move forward with this.
I'd move that council approve the terms of reference for the 2014 Winter Games Committee.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Your worship, I'm very impressed with this, and I think it's something that the town should, and I have said for many years now, that the town should pursue. And should this get passed tonight, I would like to probably put my name forward for this committee.
Thank you very much. No, I'm in favor. Also, I'm just concerned about the. There's a lot of effort here that has to go into it.
Huge.
Huge, and if we're going to do it, we got to look good doing it. We don't want to just take this on and then do it half medium.
And your worship, this committee would be to determine the feasibility, and the bids also must be received by no later than June 30th, 2011. So maybe a pretty
So do you need a chair? Do you need a chair tonight? Do we need a chair tonight and everything, or how does this work?
We just get the committee together and then they would respond to it.
Well, didn't we have to pass the chair last time or before?
No, we will bring forward the volunteers for
Okay.
to appoint at the next.
This is just saying that there's going to be a committee.
Yeah. Okay, y'all heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Alberta Order, HC Alberta Order of Excellence.
I move the council accept this for information purposes only.
Thank you. All in favor? Or any discussion? Not all in favor? Carried. Eight D, Alpha Link Transmission Line, page 46.
Your worship, I move that council accept the information from Alberta, from the letter from Crossfield as information.
You all heard the motion, any discussion? Councillor Beth?
Your worship, I have questioned on this, the AlterLink proposal with our provincial government for many years now, and I think that this may be something that at least myself would want to write some type of a letter of support to Crossfield.
Thank you. I think that should go through administration or signed by, or proposed, written up by administration, with you and administration if you'd like. Is that okay?
Well, if it's approved
Yeah,
by council.
if it's approved by council.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Y'all heard the motion? All in favor?
Which motion are we voting?
Well, they didn't make a motion.
I move that we accept it as information.
Yeah.
Only.
Yeah. And then with your recommendation?
I would like to see the town write a letter of support to the town of Crossfield.
Does administration have a problem with that?
You've got two separate items, your worship. You've got to decide on what we're doing.
Okay.
So let's vote on.
Like a vote on Councillor Fields
Yeah.
first, and then.
All in favor of Councillor Few's motion? Carried. Councillor Best?
I would move that the town of Strathmore pen a letter to the town of Crossfield with giving our support to them.
Thank you. You heard the motion. Any discussion or questions?
Well, I sympathize with Crossfield. There's no doubt. Nobody wants that coming near them, but we have been in talks with Alpha Link in this regard too, this is a complicated issue, and I think before I just hope everybody in the council is prepared to, has the knowledge that they feel is required to take a position on this matter. This is a long process that Alpha Link and the government of Alberta has been on, and I'm not saying I'm pro or con this. I'm just saying it's a complicated issue. Not just a matter of saying I don't want it there because it has to go somewhere.
Yeah, we don't want, they can take it away there and put it in our next door, so we gotta watch what we do here. What does administration say with that recommendation?
Your Worship, it's been discussed many times at council with the previous council. Councillor Sobel, myself, and a few others met with Alpha Link here in my office a few months ago and talked about it. Yes, the key thing is, where should the line go? I think now it's sort of being proposed that it go down and end up by alignment.
We don't need it any closer to Strathmore, so we move it away from there, it could come here. And we don't want that.
I don't know where.
Yeah, but I'm saying it could. Yeah. Any further discussion? Or questions about that letter? You want to rephrase, state your motion?
Could you read that, Betty, please?
The town of Strathmore put a letter of support to the town of Crossview.
In discussion, I'd be very nervous. When I think about it, I'm sorry, Council. Best, I'd be very nervous about doing that. Yes?
I think there's been a lot of research and discussion, and surveys and everything else done by the provincial government as well as the concerned communities. I think we're just poking at an hornet's nest as far as I'm concerned. I'd be against sending any letter.
Any further discussion?
I'm in agreement with Councillor Hamilton. I don't know enough about it that I would want to do that. A similar example, not health-wise, but we've got our huge issue of Highway 1, and other towns aren't taking on the idea of sending letters to support us. Not that they're the same issue at all. I don't mean that at all, but I don't really know enough about their situation to support sending a letter to them right now.
There's no further discussion. All in favor of Councillor Best's motion? Opposed? Not carried. 8E. Alberta, page 49.
Your Worship, I support any effort Alberta Health Services is making to reduce patient wait times, and I move that we accept this information as information.
You all heard the motion? Or the information as information? Any questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. 8F. Councillor Rocky, thought I turned over my duties to.
Your Worship, that's exactly why I brought this up. I need somebody from council to appoint me to United Way.
Oh. Yeah, I can't do this, and I asked Councillor Rocky to do it, so can we make...
I'll move that we appoint Councillor Rocky to the United Way.
Thank you. Any discussion? If you don't like him there, you can take it over. All in favor? Carried. Administration, you have questions, Councillor Sobel?
I do, Your Worship. The Alberta, this is to administration, the Alberta, just prior to me asking the question, I'll just give a little history here. The Alberta Urban Municipality Association Conference was held between November 22nd and the 25th of 2010 in Edmonton. All of council, save for one councillor, traveled by motor vehicle and claimed private vehicle mileage of approximately $350 plus $30 for parking as per the town's policy. Some took advantage of traveling together in one vehicle. Councillor Best, however, decided to fly, and the cost incurred as a result was $469.42. This flight covered his flight, mileage costs to and from the Calgary Airport, parking a private vehicle at the Calgary Airport, and a shuttle from Edmonton International Airport to the hotel site and back again. Policy 1806 is very specific in outlining that all travel shall be by the most economical means of transportation. policy goes on to state that if a person chooses to travel by other means, other than the most economical means, then that person shall be reimbursed for an amount equaling the cost of the most economical means of transportation. Quite some time ago, I identified this concern to Councillor Best and suggested that the reimbursement of the difference between the cost of the air flight expenses and the cost of driving should be made to the town, and estimate this amount at $89.42. My question to my question to administration is whether or not this money has been paid back to the town.
No, it has not.
This raises the second question: what recourse do we have once these expenses have been paid to get this money back if council refuses to pay it back?
If council, the majority of council say it has to be paid back, then administration will deduct it out of that next wages.
Thank you, Councillor Best.
First of all, Councillor, I'd like to thank you for sticking to your word after a meeting a month ago when you said to me, "I'll get you." I'm glad you are sticking to your word on that. Let me explain what's going on here. First of all, I was under the impression that your truck was full when we were going and that there was 2 councillors coming back early. I went to administration and I asked whether or not flying would be as a similar cost to taking my vehicle, and I was assured that yes, it was. As far as the overcost, I had no idea there was an overcost because, like I say, when I spoke to administration, I was assured that the cost would be as similar of, and therefore would not. I never looked at the cost of it after that. It says, and taking bits and pieces out of a policy is easy to do. It says here that all travel shall be made first by the most direct route and the most economical means of transportation, with allowance being made for the loss of wages to the councillor. And then it goes on and says, and then based on all factors that a person shall only be reimbursed of the amount of equaling the cost of the most economical means of transportation. It does say that, yes. However, when I've questioned it before tickets or anything have been bought, and I'm assured that is the situation, I have to believe that that is the situation. A person who's been doing that job for many years knows about those things, and I go by that person's recommendation on that. The other thing it does say as far as air travel is that air travel shall be by the cheapest and economic rate available. The least expenses are, except for the following circumstances, when the least expensive fare is not available. Whether there was a case there where the cheapest economy rate was not available, I don't know. But like I say, the reason why I wasn't in a vehicle was I was under the impression that the mayor's vehicle was full, that there was 2 councillors coming back early, and therefore I thought that rather than drive up, that I would fly up as we did as council 2 years ago.
So what's your recommendation? What are you planning on doing?
My recommendation is that I haven't done anything wrong here.
Any questions of Councillor Best?
Well, I'm going to just, first of all, find it childish to suggest for a second that I would say I would get you. I would never stoop to that level of getting anyone. I don't have to get anyone. This has nothing to do with getting anyone. This has got to do with public expenses being paid in excess of our policy. And that's why we have policy in this place. And it's very clear. I don't care if you fly, councillors. You can fly everywhere you want.
but there's a set amount of money that's designated to go to Edmonton, and the cheapest way is to drive, and that's $350. And I find it a real cheap shot to be blaming this on our administrative assistant. I don't think that we have to rely on anybody to figure out what our expenses are going to be, and I'd be curious as to whether or not you included, when you asked her which was cheaper, if you had included parking and transportation from the airport and mileage to the airport. So maybe if she had all the facts, she could have given you a little bit more accurate information as to which was cheaper. But that's still your responsibility. And my motion would be to certainly that unless you can explain and justify why you have to fly, that you owe the town $89.42.
Any questions of Council Best?
Oh, I don't have a question.
Brother.
Oh, I don't have a question, just,
Okay, go ahead.
well, it seems to me that if we remove the emotion from it and we realize that there's a certain amount allotted and it went over, it seems a simple thing to just repay that. If I was shown a situation where it looked like I had overbilled, and I'm shown that I have, it just makes sense to just pay back the town.
Thank you.
I don't want to question his flying either. I just think that if it looks like, or the administration or we get this information that based on the amount allotted for travel, Councillor Best went over it, then to me it's a no-brainer. It's a simple thing, just repay it.
It wasn't a case of money being allotted as such. It was a case of a cost of, and when I did question that cost of, it came up as that it was going to be the same cost.
Did you ask Councillor Rempel and Councillor Buell if you could ride with them or not?
No, I did not. Like I said, I was under the impression that people were coming back early and there wasn't any room in vehicles.
But you didn't have the conversation. But anyway, what do you want? What's your request to Councillor Sobel?
Well, I think I want to give Councillor Best every opportunity to explain why he broke the policy, but it just seems that the policy has been broken, and my motion, if he cannot explain why he had to go over budget over the policy, then my motion would be for administration to hold back $89.42 from his next pay.
Yes.
We could talk about this for the next 2.5 hours, but I have to agree and disagree. I realize, I do agree with Councillor Sobel. The expense is over the allotted amount, so maybe yes, in principle, maybe the $89 should be paid back. However, Councillor Best did have a valid point there. Something, I don't have that policy in front of me, but the cheapest and lowest airfare applies. Maybe that wasn't available that particular day you flew up there. I don't know. I do remember that day we just come out of budget meetings. That Sunday we were heading up to Edmonton. But myself, I was even a little bit confused who was going with who was doing what. So I think down the road, I realize the next one's in Calgary, but 2 years when we do this thing again in Edmonton, maybe we should discuss a little bit more and discuss travel plans where we can buddy up instead of driving 4 or 5 vehicles up there.
I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to belabor the issue either. Can we come to some happy medium if this is appropriate or not? Since there's issues on both sides of the fence here as interpretation of it all, would you guys be willing to split it? Councillor Best pay half and we'll pay the other half, and then that way everybody's happy. And that may, next time, let's maybe look into it really deeper so that we are sure where's the best way and what's the best way to travel and who we can travel with. Is that fair? Councillor Best?
It's up to council, sir.
Is that a suggestion? Would you be happy with that?
Whatever council wishes. I just think it's important that if we're going to have these policies, Your Worship, that we follow them. If not, then let's get rid of the policies. Last council got themselves in trouble for misinterpreting policies, and you know what? The policies have been rectified. They're clear. There's certain costs involved with driving to Edmonton, and if you go over that, then you pay for it. So at this point, I've made a motion, and let's see if this
I think
motion
you're
stands.
correct, Councillor, that the new policy is very clear. This, however, was 3 or 4 months ago.
You all heard the motion? Any further discussion? If not, you want to reread your, what was the, how does it phrase?
I'm sorry, do you have it?
Yeah, the administration pulled back $89.42 from Councillor West's next page.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Opposed? 2 opposed. Carried, motion carried. Looking for, no invitations, committee of the whole is not necessary, I don't believe, looking for adjournment. Shannon, where's Shannon? Where do I jump that? None. He's done. All in favor? Carried. Pardon me?
I made the motion. Oh, sorry.
Council,